Hey, welcome to part 2 of our video on the immobilizer problem on this gray Beetle. If you want to watch part 1, it'll be right there. You're going to be lost if you don't watch part 1. Where we left off was we had found the chip was missing in the key, and they had obviously replaced the key at some point and never had it running since then. And we put a chip in the key and tried to program it. No luck, couldn't program it. And then we found that it was triggering a pickup coil trouble code for the immobilizer, and we found that pickup coil wasn't plugged in all the way with some damage to the pins. And we got that plugged in pretty thoroughly, and then we cleared the codes, and the code didn't reoccur immediately. If you think it's fixed, you're probably wrong, because this thing has additional problems. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Okay, we're going to go into our instrument cluster and clear our trouble codes, make sure that pickup coil trouble code doesn't reoccur. Immobilizer pickup coil and clear. And we'll go back in and make sure. And this car almost for sure will not start and run now. There's no way. But just to verify, we'll go try it and see if it starts and runs.
Okay. Of course, the immobilizer light's still flashing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off and back on. And of course, the immobilizer light's still flashing. And car starts and dies. Immobilizer light's still flashing. But I think now that we have a pickup coil that works, we'll be able to program the key. Okay, of course, we got a noisy trash truck driving around outside, going to make noise in the video. I am going to connect the selected ECU. And we have our VAGCOM hooked in. Got to take that out and plug in our VAG tacho. And we'll try this again. Obviously, I believe our ECU is still selected as Magna Morelli after 2001, but I'll click that again and click connect selected ECU, and we should get some confirmation messages. We already know our pin. We're going to program the new key, and the number pulled up automatically because we tried already once, and we click OK, and it's going through the process as if it seems to be working. And then we check our immobilizer and the light should be off. But it's not. Okay, at this point in the process we had a videoing problem. Somehow we did not get video of me checking the codes again after the programming event didn't work. So we plugged in the pickup coil. We tried to program a key, assuming it would work and program. It did not. The immobilizer light still flashed. And then at some point, we checked for trouble codes again, and the pickup coil trouble code had reoccurred. The reason it didn't reoccur immediately is because there's some software strategy that will only trigger that code when it makes an attempt to start. So after I attempted to start it, the pickup coil code reoccurred, and so that's the direction the diagnosis continues to take. Just simply getting it plugged in did not fix the pickup coil trouble code. Since we have a code for the pickup coil, obviously something as simple as the pickup coil being unplugged could cause it. But also this wire here being broken could cause it as well. Now, I'll go ahead and turn the key on. And what I want to do is I'm going to check to see if there's any voltage on this wire. Lots of times when they use something like this, they will run a voltage on the wire, and that makes it real easy for the computer to detect if it's unplugged or if the wire's broken or if the pickup coil is open. So let's just see if there's any voltage on that. It's really hard for me to do in video at the same time, but I'm front probing here, but I'm not shoving it in there. I'm just touching the connector. Can you see the connector? Yes. And then show the meter, please. Touch that and turn the light on. 4.8 volts, so basically a 5 volt reference on there. And what that tells us, I'm not sure that's right. I think it's right being a 5 volt reference, but what that tells us is that neither one of those two wires is broken. Probably it has continuity all the way back to the instrument cluster, and the instrument cluster is putting that 5 volts on there. Okay, so since we have a repeated trouble code with for the pickup coil, I'm going to try and ohm check it. It's in kind of a difficult spot in there. Turn the meter to ohms, touch them together, make it where it beeps, and I'm going to try and ohm check this. Okay, so I'm trying to get up in here and ohm check this. And as you can see, it's in a tight spot, and I can't really see it and do it at the same time. If I hold the light, I can't touch both prongs, and if I just sit the light somewhere, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to send Bob out, and he's going to cut the harness off my parts car, and then we can just plug into it and connect to the two wires. So Bob's got me the harness off our parts car, and we're just going to strip it, and we're going to use that to ohm check this coil.
You're good.
Finally. Okay, now I'll ohm check this.
No.
So I'm going to take off my back probing pins, put on some alligator clips, and then connect them to here. You see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So 21 ohms, and it seems to have good connection despite the fact that that one prong was wiggling. So we'll walk out to our parts car and see what that ohm check's at. Okay, we just went out to our parts car and grabbed it. Now, we'll go into how to get this out in just a second, but the point is, I'm not saying this is good or bad, I honestly don't know. But when we plug this one in, we'll get 23 ohms. I don't see 23 ohms as being a big difference from the one we have in there, but at this point all we can do is, I think we'll plug this one in and just let it hang there and see if our trouble code reoccurs. Okay, so we're going to just plug this one in. And then we'll turn the key on. And let's go over to the scan.
Okay, we have our new pickup coil plugged in from a used parts. It's a used one, not a new one. And we're going to go into the instrument cluster and clear the code. So there's our Immobilizer pickup coil trouble code. We're going to clear that and see if it reoccurs immediately. It does not. And now we're going to start the vehicle a few times and see if it reoccurs. Go ahead. Pull the key, shut it off, and then restart. Got a good turkey gobble on the starter there. Okay, leave the car on. And we may get some communication drop out there. VAGCOM just dropped out because we didn't like the turn it off and turn it on. So let me restart that. Okay, so after restarting BAGCOM, we'll have to go back into the instrument cluster. And it's not going to want to communicate for a while because it's finicky and it's picky. No faults. Seems like there would be an immobilizer type fault, but hopefully not a pickup coil fault. Let's try that again. There we go. So we now have a key fault, but no pickup coil fault. So I might assume that that means our new pickup coil is working for us, and now we just need a key programmed. So what I think I'm going to do is just take the chip out of the key and hold it up to that pickup coil while I go through the programming process. And if that works and the car then runs, then we kind of know what we need to do.
Okay, so what I've decided to do, we have a key with a yellow dot. That's the one we put the chip in. This is the key that works the ignition, but it doesn't have a chip in it at all. So we're going to put this key in the ignition and this key in our pickup coil, and we should be able to program this key to run the car while this key's turning it off and on. Okay, so this is the key with no chip. This will fit the ignition and it will turn the car on and off. And this is our key with a chip. Now it'll go in here, but it won't turn off and on because this is from our parts car. So, but the immobilizer chip is close enough to the coil where it should pick it up. So let's just turn this on and then we'll see if we can program this car. Love you, Bob. You're nothing but a shadow with the light behind you. Okay, we have, we're going to use VAG Taco, and we're going to select the ECU Beetle after 2001, connect to it, and hopefully it'll show a successful connection. And we're going to program a new key, and we have 7773, erase, OK, and all that's going through like it's going to complete it, and we're hoping for no flashing immobilizer light when we're done. Ta-da! Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, and hopefully we'll be able to run the car now. Battery warning light, ton of lights on. But if you haven't noticed, this is not the nicest car in the world, but that's okay. This guy is planning on fixing one thing at a time until it's a much nicer car to where it can use it as a daily driver. Now I'm probably going to do a quick video about how to remove this lock cylinder, but I sure would like to just take this good coil off this lock cylinder and put it on the original lock cylinder. But as of yet, I haven't had any success in doing so. It kind of seems like this ain't really made to come off. I don't really want to damage this one because this is the one we're going to have to use. We're probably going to have to put this one in there because this is the good one. I don't want to damage this one. So, but if we put it in there with this lock cylinder, and that means his original key won't work. That means his original key won't, that he'd like to use with his glove box and his door. So he'll have to have two keys to run one car, and that's annoying to me. So usually I'd like to put this together without doing that. It's not the nicest car in the world, so he might be okay with that. Okay, we're going to be removing the lock cylinder from the car that has the bad pickup coil on it. We, of course, have already removed the lock cylinder from our parts car. And we're going to make a separate video on how to do that. That's an important thing to know how to do. And if you want to know how to do that, look up in the cards. We'll post a link to the video eventually, and we'll put it up in there, and you can watch a video on how to do that. But for now, we're just going to fix the car and get it to where the customer can drive. I think all we're really left with is to get this one installed in the lock cylinder. This is our used one with a good coil. Now the key won't match, but on this car I don't know that that really matters, and the trunk doesn't really have a key at all. Most Volkswagens of later editions don't have a key here either, and the glove box might be keyed, but I doubt the lid isn't even present over there. Let's get some light over there. The lid isn't even present. So I've already talked to the customer, and he's okay with having a different key. All that's left now is getting the chip out of the key that we programmed into the key that works with the lock cylinder that has the good pickup coil on it. Unfortunately, I don't remember which one of these now had the chip in it, but it don't take long. I'll guess it's this one. I think we'll put the yellow dot on it if I remember right, in order to mark which one had the chip in it. There's our chip. And I purposely did not glue that in place because I figured we might have to do something like this. So I will get some glue and glue it in place in the new key once we get to that point. I'm going to put this chip over here so we're not going to lose it. And to take the chip out of this key, we pull it apart like this. And then there's a screw underneath the Volkswagen emblem. And I'm probably going to destroy the Volkswagen emblem, but I don't really, there's not much I can do about that in this situation. And lots of these are missing on older keys and older cars like this. That's just what you have to do. I used to keep this Volkswagen emblem in stock, but it's a little bit expensive because it is a Volkswagen item, and nobody wanted to buy one, so I don't keep it in stock anymore. There's our little Phillips screw. And after you take the screw out, you need to be careful because there's some small pieces in there that can fall away, and you don't want to lose any of them. This one might have been glued together at some point, or maybe it's just stuck. Okay, now there's a spring. When you pop this apart, it'll try and force to rotate clockwise. So as you put it back together, you wind it counterclockwise. So we're just going to leave that in place, but there is a leg that latches the spring into the plastic. And I guess we're going to try and leave that in place also, but there's several components in there, or a couple components in there, and if I leave it in place, I don't have to think about it. If you take yours apart and it's all you lose the orientation and stuff, and it's probably going to be on you to figure out how to get it back together. Here's the components. And there's three legs on this, and there's three legs on this, and it's fairly obvious how it goes inside there. So three legs like that. Now the chip is inside there, and it's a little bit hard to get out. We may have to break it in order to get it out, but it don't matter because this car will never be back on the road again, and you can't program these a second time. So this chip is no good to anybody ever again anyway. So if it breaks, I don't really care. Yep, it broke. Now I'm going to use silicone to glue this in. Other glues, you want a weak glue actually, but what I think the benefit of silicone is that it will be underneath and it will hold up on the chip so that if you ever do want to remove it, you can get it out. So I'm just going to put the ever so small dab of silicone there. Drop the chip in, and I'm not going to press it all the way down. I'm just going to leave it as high up as it can, and hopefully it'll dry in place like that. And then we set our flip blade there, and hopefully that spring will stay in place. If it didn't, we just have to put it in there. And then, as I said, we want to rotate it clockwise 1 turn. Okay, so we just set our blade in there, and then this with the spring in it. Once again, if this comes out, there is a leg. Once again, if this comes out, the spring has a leg on it, and the leg fits into a notch in there. It's pretty clear cut. But once you slide this in here, you want the key to flip out clockwise, so you wind the spring counterclockwise. 1 turn is usually fine, and then seat it down, and then test your flip. And now that we know it works, we put the screw in, and we can pop this back together. Now, programming this, if you remember, this car is not in good shape, and I'm not even sure that there's several different keys that would go to Volkswagens, but this generation generally has one that's rectangular here and one that's oval here. Now, I don't have a clue whether this car takes the rectangular one or the oval one. Once again, we just want the car to run, and I've talked about that with the customer. This key may never program the locks, but he don't care about that. He just wants the car to run. I'm going to show you once again the condition of the car, and you should understand that. Let's go over to the car and see if it'll run. Okay, as you can see, window taped in place, no lock, no door panel. Everything's disassembled, everything's kind of taken apart, not in good shape. Glove box non-existent, radio, that's disassembled, all this is disassembled and broke. But we should have a running car now. And no flashing immobilizer light. And we have a running car. And we seem to have not been able to get this into reverse. Every time we try and put it in reverse, it goes into first. So, customer's got a lot of work to do, but he doesn't want us to do any of that work. He just wanted us to handle the immobilizer problem. Please don't call me for tech advice. You're welcome to email me. If I feel like I have a good answer for you, I will answer. There is the option of immobilizer delete on some of these. I guess I'll shut the car off before I go on a long monologue. But as you can see, this car is not in good shape. Coolant light's flashing. Battery light was on. Airbag light was on. And everything's disassembled. But at least the car runs now. The customer said he's going to fix all this stuff himself. And obviously, he wasn't equipped to fix the immobilizer issue, which we are. On older cars like this anyway. The newer cars are much more difficult, and they might require a factory scan tool. But we are equipped to handle this stuff on the Mark IVs. And please don't call me for tech advice. If you want to email me, feel free, or leave a question down in the comments. If you want to donate to the continued production of these videos, visit my website at www.kansascitytdi.com and find the donate icon. Another way you can help me out is by making a purchase through my Amazon affiliate link that's in the description. I'm trying to get approved as an Amazon affiliate, and I need a certain number of purchases in order to be approved. So you can click that link and purchase anything that you would be purchasing already: bike parts, dog food, squeaky toys, auto parts, whatever you want. And if you want to watch some more of my videos, there'll be one right there and one right there. And don't forget to subscribe right there. Thanks for watching.